So, have you ever wondered how civilizations for millennia managed to avoid that dreaded mid-afternoon sugar crash? You know the one. Well, long before we had modern pharmaceuticals and, these highly complex dietary supplements, ancient cultures all across the globe actually relied on a really specific yet incredibly simple practice. They would consume sour, fermented tonics right after heavy meals. It's a mystery that has spanned thousands of years, and yet the crazy thing is, the answer might literally be sitting on a shelf in your kitchen right now.
Welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we're kind of playing the role of biological detectives. We are taking the timeless, incredibly intuitive wellness practices of our ancestors, and we're decoding them through the lens of cutting-edge modern nutritional science. And our primary suspect for today? Apple cider vinegar. We're going to figure out exactly how this ancient liquid interacts with your biology. Okay, here's a quick look at our roadmap. First up, the first pharmacy. Then, ancient Ayurvedic wisdom. Third, the acetic acid secret. Fourth, stabilizing blood sugar. And finally, number 5, modern scientific proof. Let's dive right in.
Section 1. The First Pharmacy, a Nutritional Revolution.
You see, the concept of food as medicine isn't just some trendy, fleeting buzzword. By today's standards, it really represents a highly sophisticated integration of nutrigenomics and traditional lifestyle medicine. In the holistic tradition, the kitchen is quite literally seen as the first pharmacy, and the cook, well, they're the first physician. It emphasizes that every single substance we choose to consume has the potential to either heal us or hinder our internal balance. It's a totally proactive approach to managing long-term health, which is a far cry from just, treating symptoms after they've already shown up.
Moving right along to Section 2, Ancient Ayurvedic Wisdom, the concept of ahara.
So, in the ancient system of Ayurveda, this whole food as medicine concept is known as ahara, and it's actually considered one of the 3 essential pillars of life. But what's really fascinating here is how they categorize things. I mean, they weren't looking at calories or counting macros, right? They classified substances based on rasa, which means taste, virya, which is potency, and vipaka, the post-digestive effect. When ancient practitioners looked at apple cider vinegar, they were hyper-focused on its distinctly sour taste. They believed this specific sourness was designed to stimulate what they called agni, or the body's digestive fire, essentially helping to efficiently transform food into healthy tissues rather than letting it sit and become toxic buildup.
Now check out this fascinating contrast. The Ayurvedic view talks about balancing kapha energy to prevent stagnation, clearing out the body's channels, a process they called srota shodhana, and utilizing a sort of scraping quality known as lekana to manage the heaviness of eating a lot of sugar. But look at the right side. The modern biochemical view describes improving insulin sensitivity, inhibiting starch-breaking enzymes, and reducing oxidative stress. Guys, we are talking about the exact same physiological phenomena here. History and modern science are describing the very same internal shifts. They're just using 2 completely different vocabularies to do it. It's wild.
All right, Section 3. The acetic acid secret, the biological engine.
So how does it actually work? Well, it all comes down to the fermentation process, and it's basically a simple 2-step dance. First, you get crushed apples. Second, fermentation turns those crushed apples into alcohol. And third, another round of fermentation transforms that alcohol straight into vinegar. It is incredibly simple. You definitely don't need an advanced chemistry degree to understand it. But this simple process creates a deeply complex profile of organic acids and enzymes. And most importantly, it produces the absolute hero of our story today, acetic acid.
I want you to think of acetic acid like a highly trained traffic cop for your digestive system. It literally steps in and interferes with the enzymes that break down starches. And because of this interference, complex carbohydrates are converted into sugar much more slowly. So instead of glucose just flooding your bloodstream all at once and causing massive long-term metabolic strain, the acetic acid ensures a steady, tightly controlled release. It's essentially clearing the metabolic channels, exactly like the ancients described.
Which brings us to Section 4, Stabilizing Blood Sugar, Preventing Energy Crashes. The underlying mechanism here is just profound. When you consume even a small amount of apple cider vinegar before a carbohydrate-rich meal, it physically slows down gastric emptying. Simply put, it delays your stomach from sending food right into the small intestine. Because of this delay, glucose is regulated and released into your bloodstream at a much more manageable pace. And the ripple effect? Your overall insulin demand drops, your liver and muscles are able to take up glucose more effectively, meaning your body doesn't have to panic and pump out massive amounts of insulin just to get the job done.
So, what does this all mean for you practically? Well, stable glucose levels lead to consistent daily energy, period. When you aren't riding that biological roller coaster of massive sugar spikes and inevitable crashes, you naturally reduce your mind to snacking. You significantly reduce those intense, demanding sugar cravings. You actually create a positive feedback loop where your body begins to comfortably rely on its own stored energy reserves. Plus, by maintaining that flatter glucose curve, you're providing system-wide protection for your blood vessels and organs from oxidative stress. You're actively preventing the damage before it even has a chance to start.
Let's look at the hard data in Section 5, Modern Scientific Proof, the Clinical Evidence. Because look, the claims made by ancient healers aren't just folklore. They actually have the receipts. They are supported by rigorous, peer-reviewed literature. A real cornerstone piece of evidence is this 2004 study titled Vinegar Consumption Increases Insulin-Stimulated Glucose Uptake. This was published in the highly respected journal Diabetes Care by Dr. Carol Johnston, who is a prominent researcher in this field. Dr. Johnson and our team specifically looked at individuals with insulin resistance, and they had them consume a really simple vinegar drink right before their meals. And what did they find? Dr. Johnston's team found a 34% improvement in post-meal insulin sensitivity. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that is a massive, statistically significant improvement. In fact, it often rivals the effects of certain modern prescription medications, and it's coming from a simple pantry staple. It provides the ultimate modern scientific proof validating this ancient tonic. It perfectly demonstrates how a functional food can offer a compelling, heavily science-backed alternative for your daily metabolic maintenance. Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. What else in your kitchen is waiting to be prescribed? I mean, if a simple, unassuming bottle of fermented apple cider vinegar can safely and effectively act as a metabolic traffic cop, bridging literally millennia of Ayurvedic wisdom with modern clinical data, it completely changes how we should view our daily food choices, right? Your pantry isn't just storage anymore. It is a proactive toolkit for your long-term health. I really encourage you to rethink the ingredients you interact with every single day, because the most profound medicine might just be exactly what's sitting on your plate. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.